I'm Emily.
And I'm Gianna.
And this is Booked Up Babes.
Woo!
Okay, hi.
Hey everybody!
Oh man.
Back again.
Back again.
Back and better than ever.
So we are reading A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Yes, we are. So actually, we have both read this book, but
yeah,
Emily and I realized that we've never, not once, we'll bring it up and make references, but we've never ever actually sat down and talked about this series together.
No.
So we're let's do a little bit of a deep dive and have some fun with it.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, it's just a staple in our world.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of our reading journey, together, and also let's set the scene. If you're in Newport, you're gonna know exactly what place I'm talking about. We're at the Fastnet. We're in the back of the Fastnet. It's summer. Emily has just finished reading the court books.
Yes. And
both of us are just gushing over it. And then we're we should totally have a book club.
Yeah.
And then we did. We started 2 book clubs, which are still going. And then snowball effect, one thing after the other, more books came up, which all stemmed from this one singular thing.
Yeah.
This one series was the court series. And now here we are with 2 book clubs and a podcast and a wonderful friendship. Once again, thank you, Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah, the queen.
Yes.
Yeah.
You bring us all together.
She's amazing. Mm-hmm. And this book is a great start to an incredible series.
Yes. Me personally, if anybody wants to get into fantasy, so someone's reading a ton of romance and they're oh, I'd really like to dip my toes into fantasy. This is the #1 series that I will always recommend.
Yes. Yes. This is the catalyst into the romantasy world.
Yes. I mean, even if you want to just start, there's other intro fantasy books that you could go with, but I will recommend it even if you haven't read fantasy because it's the world building is easy.
Yep.
For a fantasy novel, the world building is pretty easy. Mm-hmm. You have really well developed characters, you have romance, you have just a really pleasant time.
Yeah.
So I love this series. The series is actually the series that got me back into fantasy.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those books that I guess the only other one I would compare that I think I've noticed people are getting into fantasy through is Fourth Wing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But that's still so early.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you can enter it and go 6 books deep, or 5 books, I guess.
What's soon to be 8 books.
Shit, you're right. Because this is promised to be 2 more.
Yeah, 2 more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's a huge world. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun characters. Even if you don't love the first book, the other books pick up more characters and pick up more world building. So there's more to choose from to like in the later books.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
The first book is practically, at some points, could even just be a standalone.
Yes. It's definitely the catalyst for the rest of the series, but it's so wildly different from the rest of it.
Yeah.
You brought up Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, and I think that there's such a huge difference in the first book of the first and second book of that series and the first and second book of this series. So different.
So different.
But still both series that if you want to get into fantasy, start with this. I will say Fourth Wing is definitely a bit more world building.
Yeah, but it's still easy.
Yes, I do agree with that.
Still entertaining and easy to get into.
Yeah.
Sure. It's not Crescent City, which is,
oh boy,
you have to really like fantasy to get into Crescent City.
Yes, you are nosediving into a world and there's 200 pages of it.
Yeah,
Just get past the 200 pages and you're going to have a great time. I promise.
Yeah.
Whereas like A Court of Thorns and Roses, it's much simpler.
Yeah, it is.
But a fantastic series. Great romantasy.
Oh, yes.
Like, there's a reason why this series is so loved by so many and why it's talked about so much. Like, there's a reason for it. And I think that's part of what I love about Sarah so much is that all of her series are so different from each other.
Oh, yeah, they're all different. And I mean, I'm going to get into the third series, which I haven't touched yet. Which is technically her first.
Technically her first series, yeah. Boss. But they're so different.
Yeah.
So you get like a wildly different experience with every series that she starts. So.
Yeah, it's exciting to see that. So we are starting with the first of this book because obviously, and we are drinking.
Yes.
Spring Court.
Yes.
Cocktails. So I made this one up from scratch.
Yes, she did. Our bartender.
Yeah, I hope you guys like it.
I just show up and drink the drink.
You tell me if it's good though.
Oh yes, yeah. I am useful. I
yeah.
But so like a pretty basic base for this is there's elderflower in it, prosecco, gin. Emily so graciously muddled up some rosemary and lemon for us. It's very refreshing. It's very like that nice like kind of floralness to it. It's a good spring drink. Yeah. If you don't like florally drinks, this is not your jam. But if you do, I mean, to me, it tastes like the Spring Court. It does. Yes, definitely. Yeah. And as we go through all the other books, we're going to make a few other themed ones. Yeah. Which is going to be pretty exciting. But I'm excited. I said to Emily when I walked in, I was like, I've always wanted to make like a court-themed drink. So this is fun. This is fun. This is a fun start. Yes, for sure. All right, let's dive in. Yeah. Hold on. Okay. Mine is I can't hear something. I was like, it keeps going in and out. Yes, okay, same. Like one side keeps going in and out. I was like, I'm like going crazy. I was like, are we even coming through clearly? Like, let me just hear what we sound like. I mean, to me, it tastes like the Spring Court. I turned myself up at one point, so I was like, I feel like... And as we go through... Okay, but we sound fine, but one of the, like, my left headphone keeps going in and out. Okay, yeah, same. I was like, something feels ridiculous here. I'm just gonna... That's why I was like, why do you feel so far... Why does it feel so far away? Let's just... Okay, that sounds... Okay, at one point, it felt like it got loud again. And I was like, oh, okay, good. And then it got weird again. Okay, so mine just went out again. Oh, fuck. So it's probably... I can hear you now. Does this sound okay? This sounds okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Because then I was like, fuck, if we're not being recorded, that's bad. There we go. Maybe it just needs to be stable. Maybe. Okay. All right. Let's do it. I was like, I'm not going to record an hour-and-a-half podcast. Hell. And then realize it didn't come through. To the no. Let's see where we ended. Time is precious. Yeah. Hold on. Okay. Great. We started with there we go. I can cut that. What was? Drink. So this is fun. This is fun. This is a fun start. Yes. Okay, so now we just need to start talking about the book. Yep. Okay. So, initial thoughts on this, or yeah. Oh my god, I read this book. I've done a reread of this whole series like 3 times. Yeah, and I did do a pretty recent one for just to do like a reread of the ACOTAR series and all of her books. But my first initial reaction, I liked this book. Me too. A lot. Yeah. And, people will say all the time, like, you just got to get through the first book because they've read the series. So they know, like, what's coming. But even knowing what's coming after that, like, it still has to be a good book to want to continue. Honestly, yeah. And I really enjoyed this book when I first read it. Yeah, I was so excited to see what was going to come next. Oh, yeah. I was like, I'm just ready to get... And I knew there was more to come, so I was like, I just want to get more into it. Exactly. It got me really excited for the rest of it. Because I knew I was like, if this is how it starts, it's only just going to go up, and it's going to get better. It's more interesting, more characters, and that's exactly what happened. Yes. And it's a great start. I mean,
how it opens with her being the person keeping her family alive, which
as the youngest,
which to me still is just like so silly. I don't know why I find it to be silly. I'm like, can she be the middle child? It doesn't make sense that she's the youngest, but I guess that's what makes it like her sisters and them not providing more extreme.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that she's the youngest, I was like, that's terrible.
That's awful.
Like the fact that you're making your younger sister be the person who provides.
And that the mom puts it on the youngest sister to take care of her family. Like,
Farrah's family is terrible. Like,
terrible.
let's just lay it out. Like, they're all, the father who, I mean, granted he can't do much, but he doesn't even try.
No.
He gets his leg shattered. So sorry, Mr. Archeron.
Yeah, but because he's, like, not a good person.
Yeah, because he got himself into a shitty situation.
Yeah.
Then gets his leg shattered. And then doesn't even try to be, like, to his other daughters, help your sister.
Yeah.
He just, like, lets Favor go out and hunt and take care of the family, when in reality he has 2 other children.
Yes.
Who are more than capable of taking on responsibilities. But he does nothing about that.
No.
And then, I mean, I hated Nesta.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I hated her. I mean, even in this book, there was, like, a moment where I was like,
oh, yeah.
I mean, could be redeemable.
When she goes looking for her.
Yeah.
And that was really like part of the book.
But I remember at the beginning, I was just like, you have an awful family.
Oh, my God.
Awful
yeah.
family. I'm like, if I was you, I would get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, and she's got her little, like, village boy who
she
sleeps with, and that's about all she's got.
And she even thinks of that as, like, you know, just passing time.
Yeah, I was like, until I die, pretty much.
She's like, I would not call that lovely. That's to be distracted and to get away from my own brain. And I'm like, your life is sad.
It's sad.
Like, you don't even like the boy that you're, like, spending time with. That's sad.
It's really sad.
No friends. No companionship whatsoever.
No, but it does then explain why she then becomes so attached to Tamlin and Lucien.
Oh my God, yeah. It is the reason.
Yeah.
That she, you know, obviously if you're listening, you've read the book, and you know that she kills
the wolf.
And that's one of Tamlin's sentries. So Tamlin, you know, comes in his beast form, and he's like, who killed my fae? And then, you know, takes Feyre back to the Spring Court as like a prisoner essentially, but a prisoner who lives in luxury because she like gets her own room, and but that's like her payment is, you know, you took the life of, which at the end of the day, it was all part of a bigger plot. Yeah, that Tamlin knew about. He was like, this happened. Things are set in motion. I know that this is happening.
I have to take the next steps to make all this happen.
Exactly.
And he can never divulge to her that this is part of the
No, because it's part of the curse.
Yeah.
Like, part of the curse is they wear their masks. Which for a long time, I was like, are we talking like full face masks? Or are we talking just like just over the eyes?
Like the Man in the Iron Mask with Leonardo DiCaprio.
I'm like, are we talking like a full blown like mask, like can't even see like cheeks? Or are we talking like just over the eyes? And it is just over the eyes.
It's a masquerade kind of vibe.
Yeah, which I was like still weird, but you know, I can roll with it.
Yeah.
Because essentially this was like a Beauty and Beast retelling.
Yes, that is
like,
how it's displayed as.
In a very, like, you know, his beast form. He has a beast form, but then, like, if we're talking in relation to the story, like, his beast form is the fact that he's wearing a mask that can't, like, see.
Well, he has claws, right? Like, I picture him as actually turning into a beast when he gets really angry. Does he not have the ability
he does,
to...
but no. But what I mean is, like, so the beast can't be anything other than the beast. Whereas, like, Tamlin and Lucien can't be anything other than masked.
Yes,
whereas,
okay,
like,
so you're saying.
Tamlin can turn into a beast. Like, at any... And when he gets angry, like,
he does.
His claws come out, and he becomes his beastly self.
Yeah. He has a temper issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
It's red flag number 1 on Tammy. Yeah. Tammy boy. He has temper issues. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit controlling.
Oh, yeah. Just a bit.
He's a wee bit possessive and jealous. Mm-hmm. He, his red flags just pop up, and in not a cute romantic way that we normally brush past. It's like in a, kind of a way.
Yes and no.
Because I was always like, Tamlin seems a little off to me.
I loved him. I think I loved him so much because, you know, it was the first book. I didn't know what was going on. And he had...
Yeah.
And I felt like...
And we won't spoil the next book.
No, because we're gonna go through the whole series, but we're not gonna do any spoilers in this in case you haven't
just thought I'd point that out.
Gone on.
Yeah.
But I just remember being like, I know that he's got like a little bit of a temper, and I know that he's angry, but then like we learn about how the fact that he's been under this curse for so many years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, of course the man's angry. His life is terrible.
Oh, I definitely empathized with him.
So yeah, I empathized with him, and I didn't know what else was coming like later on in this entire series. So I really was just like, wow, like here's his chance, because he just softens.
He does. He does.
Softens and he lets her in, and there's like a real bond. Like there's a reason why she felt at home with him at one point. She fought him, of course, at first, and was you know, determined to be miserable.
Well, and he brings joy into her life for the first time. Like, she's been so, like, her whole life has been very hard, and she doesn't have a memory of having a softer life like her older sisters do. Like, she only really remembers a hard life. So then coming into a court or a world where you're surrounded by flowers, it's spring every day, and you have this guy who's taking care of you, buying you paints, and even like on that, Lucian, I thought was the love interest, and I texted her, and you go, just keep reading. I have no idea where you are in the book, but just keep reading. I was like, oh, is that not who she's supposed to be falling in love with right now? It's so funny because like, he was so nice to her.
Disagree.
Oh my god, no, he's the one who's like, he tells her how to like catch the cereal.
Yeah, but he tells her that thinking that she's gonna fail.
I don't know. I like always
love Lucian. Oh my god. This is what I mean when I say like we've never sat and talked about this, because I thought that Lucian was a dick. Like the entire first book, I was like, you are an asshole.
I'm also conditioned to believe that the guy who seems like the dick at first, like the Damon effect, is gonna be the person they fall in love with. Because he would have these like dickish things, but he was also like putting trust in her in a way that I saw Tamlin holding her back. And then on top of it all, he was like befriending her in a way that I was like, oh, is this like the guy who eventually becomes her love interest?
Oh yeah, and see the entire book, I was just like, there were moments, of course, where I was like, oh, he cares for her. Like obviously, like, he's come to care about this person. For the most part, he was just like, he's like, you're a human piece of garbage. And here's how you can ensnare the cereal, but I'm only telling you this because I think you're gonna fail.
Literally.
And like, he was terrible.
But he also wanted her to get answers from him.
Yes. But he literally admits, he's like, I didn't think that you'd actually do it. So she's like, you literally sent me to go fail. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And it's like, I still liked Lucian a lot. It's so funny because...
It's the Damon thing, though. I was like, oh, Damon and Stefan energy.
It's funny because, like, now that when people read the book, people are like, why would you fall in love with Tamlin when Lucian's right there?
Yeah.
It's so true.
I love Lucian.
It's so true. Because I was like, I loved Tamlin, but I was like, the way that they were described, I'm like, Lucian's just got this, like, thing about him. I did mildly think that he was a little bitch for a little bit of it, though. Because he wasn't being kind. And I'm like, could you stop being such a little bitch?
I think he was doing that, though. Oh, because, like... Okay, no spoilers. But I think he was doing that genuinely. I think he was doing that because he needed to counterbalance Tamlin and make Tamlin look like the nicer guy. Because Tamlin has anger issues. And if at that point, if there is a guy that can go full beast mode when he's mad at me, why is that the person I'm going to choose?
Yeah, but like, why?
I don't know. That's a theory. That has no facts behind it. No. It's not even remotely a spoiler theory.
It's an opinion.
It's an opinion. No, I think there was a possibility of that.
Maybe
he was like bad cop, good cop kind of energy.
Maybe.
I mean,
I don't know. I just remember like wanting Lucian to just be better. And same with Tamlin. I was just like at moments I'm like, dude, be better. And he did get better. He did. There's a reason why, but there's a reason.
He's like this. He's like a little roller coaster with Tamlin. You're like, yeah, better. Ooh.
I think he's down all the way, and then he really steadily climbs up. And it's honestly not until later in the series where I'm like, oh.
And we'll leave it there. Spoiler free. Oh.
That's a spoiler free. Oh. But, you know, I really liked him in this book. Like, when the book ended, I was so excited to see what their life was going to be like. Yeah. Because I'm like, he's free of this curse, like this thing that just weighed on him. And she saved him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're going to be so happy together. So I was like, I love Tamlin. I'm like, Lucien and Tamlin and Feyre are going to go home together and just be a joyous little trio.
I honestly thought that too.
I mean, yeah, so I'm like, obviously not to the end of time, but I didn't think that anything could possibly go wrong. So, yeah, I was just
not in 6 books.
No! Again, I used to read a lot of fantasy when I was younger, but this was my introduction back into it after reading, like, years and years of, like, self-transformation books. So I was like, I've forgotten what it's like to read things like this.
Well, in this book, I'm not going to lie, it's really hard right now to recap and not spoil the other books. Like, exactly. I'm really having a hard time because it's such a feeder book into the rest of the series.
Yeah.
And it has its own storyline for sure, but like the entirety of the storyline is to benefit the rest of the series.
Yeah. I don't think there's any way that we're not going to be able to like allude to things. Yeah. So again,
sorry about that.
Sorry, guys.
Try to read the second book before you
Honestly, what I'm thinking of, if anybody's really listening to this, you're probably listening it more because you like. I would listen to this episode because I've read the book and I want to hear what other people think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
We're just still not going to spoil it, but
no,
it's quite impossible not to allude to the fact that things are
very different.
They're very different than how they seem.
Yeah, things go awry in the second book.
It's a popular enough book where it's kind of like
it's low-key spoiled on its own.
Yeah. So if you actually, kudos to people who do not know what happens in this series.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, I knew about characters in this series.
Same.
But in this first book, I was like, I'm supposed to fucking like them?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like them.
I literally was like, while I was reading the book, I was like, I think I'm supposed to like this person from what I've gathered. So now I have to just take everything they're doing and think about it in the sense that I'm going to like them later.
That's one thing that Sarah is phenomenal at.
Yeah.
Because it's if you read Throne of Glass, again, no spoilers, but she's great at that. Being like, I'm supposed to like you. And then boom, they're your favorite character in the whole entire series.
Yeah.
This series, I read this first book, characters were introduced, and I was like, even knowing things about characters, I was just like, I cannot even possibly imagine enjoying you and thinking that you're going to be someone that Lucien.
Yeah, Lucien, as through the series, he becomes way more likable.
Yeah, and the first book, I was just like, you're kind of a dick.
I liked him from the beginning.
And you loved him, and I'm just like, yeah, I need you to get it together.
Sometimes I like a good asshole, I guess, but. I don't know what it is about him. I was like, okay, I enjoy you. I really, really, really enjoyed how she chose a woman. Like, Feyre is such a strong, independent woman, but also she's completely weakened by the world she's put in.
Yes.
She can't go out of the spring, outside of the little property of the spring court that she's living in, without complete fear of every single thing that's beyond those walls.
This is a girl who used to go out into the wild and hunt freely, and now it's like a flip has been switched.
And it's very interesting because there is no cage.
A switch has been flipped.
A switch has been flipped. A flip has been switched.
You know what's funny? I even thought about it before it came out of my mouth, and it still came out wrong. Sorry.
I do that all the time.
Oh my god, I said it, and I was like, you even ran that through your head before you said it.
You even tried.
You said it wrong. Anyways, go on.
No, but I think it's very interesting that she is this very powerful, like, but because she's human, because of who she is at the base of it, she can't comfortably live. And so it's a cage without anyone putting bars up for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very, like, it's interesting to read because she has been so free and kind of just, like, living life for herself on her own terms, just making sure she provides for her family, into, like, a proverbial cage in some sense.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
That makes her feel trapped. And then, like, she's not getting answers from anyone she's living with.
Mm-hmm.
And she keeps trying to, like, find ways to figure things out. And then that's why she goes to Serial, and, like, he's awesome. And
we love him.
We love him. And
love Serial.
Oh my God, he's so good. And he gives her, like, you know, stay with the High Lord.
Oh yeah, it was like the most vague.
The vaguest thing ever. That is very important throughout the whole series.
Yes.
But it's
gosh, yes.
It's just vague as crap, and he leaves her there. And then, I mean, she turns out saving his life, and they have a whole bond because of that. Mm-hmm. But, like, outside of that, like, that's about as much as she gets to do before she comes back to go under the mountain.
Exactly. And, like...
And then live in a real cage.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Like, Tamlin takes her to, you know, like, I remember even... I loved the part where they, like, went into the spring and they were swimming.
Oh my God, I love that.
And, like, they just, like, sometimes would lay on the grass and they talk. Like, those are the moments where I'm like, I'm loving Tamlin. Like, I'm falling in love with this love that is blossoming.
But I would like to point out a foreshadowing moment that I caught today.
Go on.
When she paints it for him, she paints it as nighttime.
Oh my God, I've never caught that before.
Boom!
Okay.
I was reading, I was like, wait, why is it night?
And we're going to leave it at that. Oh my God, I've never caught that before. And honestly, do you want to know the reason why I don't think I've ever caught that before? I have only reread this first book twice. I have reread the second and the third probably 6 times.
Those are the best books in the
like
series.
I never even tabbed this book, but I tabbed all the other books like a mother.
Yeah, I didn't tab this book either, and that's why I was like I need to go through and like find things to like jump out at me, and I was like, oh my God, fuck.
Emma.
Yeah.
Good catch.
I know. I was like, wait, what? Because they definitely go down to that little like water and do the thing during the daytime, but she paints it as night. And then he looks baffled by it when, like, his response to it, she's like, do you like it? And he's like, oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, some foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Good catch.
I know. I was like, oh, damn.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go find that, actually.
Yeah, I highlighted
I can experience it for myself.
But
I read this book for the first time in, like, I think it was 2021.
Okay.
Long time ago.
I read it this summer. Yeah. And I like did a rescan of it, and like you know, because it's like wasn't necessary to go back.
Yeah.
Do a full reread, but a refresh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Caught that though.
Interesting. All right. Well, but yeah, that was I was loving him.
I don't hate him in the first book.
No, that's the thing. You're supposed to love him in the first book.
I do. I love him in the first book.
And then, you know, I
guess that's a spoiler. I feel like I should delete that part.
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't delete. No, because you want to know what? Like I said, there's no way that we can talk about this.
No.
There's no way that we can talk about this series.
There's so many characters missing from this book.
Like, unless we've read the entire thing, there's no way that we can talk about this series and not say certain things.
Yeah, it's true.
So... Okay, doing our best, but no. Well, then we have like I think her first like outing after. So first she thinks that everywhere is empty, like the manor, spring court is all empty, and then they literally like no, you just can't see it because like one day she's like, oh my God, there's people. There's people everywhere. Oh, and also like on top, she goes through this traumatic event with the fairy who shows up on the doorstep.
Yep. Oh my God,
and it's so sad. He's like, my wings. She cut off my wings. I think I remember like crying because she wanted so badly to do anything. And that was the moment where like Tamlin was like, okay, like you're not just like a human, like you're someone who cares.
Yeah.
And that was like her first taste of like being in Prithian, and then then she can see all the fairies and the other creatures, and then like her big outing is Kalamai.
Yeah, it is.
When she was told, stay in your room, don't leave this manor, and she obviously was like,
I'm favorite.
No, I'm gonna do whatever I want. You cannot cage me. And she's never met anyone outside of the Spring Court. And then suddenly she's getting like groped by they're called Picts. And like they're harassing her. And then all of a sudden you get this introduction to a new character, Rhysand, walks in and like plays this role where he's like, there you are, I've been looking for you. And we get this new character who immediately is just described as like the most beautiful human being she literally says,
yep,
the most beautiful human, like the most beautiful being I've ever seen in my life. And there it is, we have Rhysand, and like he saves her from like these terrible fae, and she's like, she finally gets like a little bit of a taste of someone from not in the Spring Court.
Yeah.
But we don't know why he's there until we do.
Well, and he doesn't have a mask.
And he doesn't have, so that's why she asks, she's like, oh, are you from the Spring Court? Like, you're not wearing a mask. And he like kind of like laughs, and he's like, no, I'm not from the Spring Court. And it's the only person that she's seen
without a mask on.
Mm-hmm. So like for her, she's like, whoa, like what's going on? Like, who are you? Where are you from? And it's good. It's good because he ends up going into Tamlin's manor.
Yep.
And Tamlin tries to hide her. Tamlin and Lucien tries to hide her, but he recognizes her scent.
Yep.
So he starts to threaten her and him and, everybody
involved. She gives a false name.
She gives a fake name because she's smart. I mean, it ends terribly because the poor girl dies.
That girl gets killed.
Amarantha ends up, like, just killing her.
Slaughtering her.
Oh, my God. She thought she was, like, and she was, in that moment, she was being very smart. But
at the end of the day, it was the right choice for herself, not for that girl.
Yeah, at the end of the day, she just totally got that girl killed.
Well, and how was she to know that Rhysand was going to give that name? She didn't know what that was going to be.
Exactly. Well, that's because Tamlin and Lucien can't talk about everything.
No.
They are cursed to not say a word, so she doesn't know anything.
No.
Tamlin sends her home, and that's when she literally finds out that, like, Claire got killed.
Yeah.
Because Elaine and Esther are like, oh, Claire better, she got killed. She was murdered by the Fae. And she's like, wait, what? And the guilt, I can't even.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine if that was you?
And you knew you dropping their name is why they're dead.
Oh my God.
Woo! Because then when she gets under the mountain, her body's pinned up.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh. I gotta say, I think out of all of Sarah's books that I've read, the descriptions in this first book are very detailed.
She does describe her body being pinned up.
And also just even like there was a part where I was reading earlier about her waking up in her cell after, because she goes under the mountain because she wants to save Tamlin, and she wakes up in her cell, and the way just like Sarah just like is describing like the cell and Feyre's state of being, and I'm like, this is so gross. It's so gross. And I think that out of all of her books, I'm like, this is really nasty.
Yeah, because when Feyre's just like in her cell, she describes it as, and like, because she's in there after she fights the worm.
Oh my God.
She's like in the worm juice.
Oh, so
with her
gross.
Like cuts and shit.
It's so gross.
Oh my God.
It's disgusting. I'm just like, I love an author who's descriptive. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy with a very descriptive author. But I just remember reading that and being like, oh my God.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I'm like, this girl is living in her own filth.
Yeah, living it without Rhysand coming into her cell.
Yes. without him doing the absolute most that he can do in those moments to like help her. Yeah, and you know, we get like these great scenes between the two of them.
Oh, they're incredible scenes. Yeah.
Which I think like really, really show Feyre's character. Those scenes really, really highlight just like the strength that Feyre has as a main character.
Yeah.
She's so resilient.
Yeah, for sure.
And, you know, not only is she fighting the battle up there, but like then Rhysand comes to her cell, taunts her, bothers her. Yeah. And like there's moments where he's helping her.
Yeah, he's helping her in like interesting ways.
Yeah. But she at every second is like, nah, fuck you.
Yeah.
Incredibly defiant. And like just never ever, besides, she never yields.
No.
Sarah and her never yielding with her characters. But she never ever yields except for when she agrees to
see him once a week.
Not
once a month.
Once a month.
There you go.
Except for when she agrees to that.
Because her life is on the line, though.
Yeah.
She's about to die.
But like up until that point, she was like, nope, I want nothing to do with you. I think you're a terrible person. I know what you are. I know who you are. She literally is just like, you can screw.
Yep.
As she's disgusting and dying up until the very last second when he's about to leave. She's like, fine. Yeah. And I'm just like, I think those scenes between the two of them, I think we learned about a lot with Feyre when it came to when she was with Tamlin, but I also think we learned so much about her in those scenes with Rhysand.
Yep.
About who she was as a character and her strength as a character.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I remember before, I read this series before I read Throne of Glass, and my favorite female main character is Aelin, but the character that I relate to the most is probably Feyre.
Okay.
And I think that's why I loved this series so much, because I just, like, looked at her, and I was just like, you're so, like, she was just amazing as, like, her own individual person.
Yeah.
Like, grabbing herself and pulling herself up, which I find so admirable.
Oh, for sure.
So that's why I think those scenes in the cell, and even, like, any point, the scenes, like, she has this person in front of her who is so very much, like, trying to rile her.
Oh, yeah, he's trying to get something out of her at times. He takes care of her in weird ways.
Yes.
Like, he does, like, there are times where I'm like, he is helping you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you can't deny that. But, like, I understand why you're frustrated by it. And, like, how he handles it is not always the best. But it's, like, also, she's pointing out, like, she's not just, like, gullible and, like, taking whatever he says and whatever he does and just being like, oh, I'll take it. Like, and even when he does, like, blatantly help her, she doesn't believe it.
Exactly.
Or, like, trust it. So I do find that, because I know if, like, the guy I thought was the most beautiful man was, like, blindly helping me at times, I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, right? And she's over here like, just because I think you're like, beautiful doesn't mean that I trust you.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, oh, good for you, girl. Good for you. I can't say I'd be the same, so good for you. But it is very interesting when Under the Mountain, I think, is where the story just really picks up.
Yes. And
I think, like, when she fights the worms, she then has to read, and she can't.
Oh
and
my
Rhysand has to help her, and Lucia's like, please, I'm going to die.
Okay. I literally said to Emily before we started, I had a thing against Lucian in this book.
He really did.
He was yelling at her, like, answer the question. Feyre, like, screaming at her. And I'm like, yo, I know that you're scared right now, my dude. But shut up. Shut up. You are not helping the situation by freaking out. Like, I just remember reading her second task and being like, I really need you to be quiet. Like, shut your mouth right now. And he comes to see her once.
Once. He does help her one time.
Yeah.
But he also, let's, like, give him some credit. He's not as powerful as Rhysand.
No. And
so,
also, he gets, like, beaten.
He gets beaten. He's just as bad off as her.
Yeah.
So, like, he has no room to help her more than he does try to. So I'll give him that credit. He does come to her aid when he can, but he also is not as powerful. He's not a High Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't, like, he gets beaten to a pulp. So, like, he really can't do much outside of what he does do for her that one time.
Yeah, true. True.
But then, isn't it, okay, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, because I might have gotten this mixed up. When he does help her, he gets punished.
Yes.
And that's why his life is on the line for her to read.
He couldn't, he wasn't able to come back. I don't know if he gets punished, actually. I think that he just couldn't risk coming back.
Okay.
But the reason why...
I'm giving him way too much credit.
I think he couldn't risk coming back. Again, we could be wrong. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It could be wrong. But either way, like, him being potentially killed during the second task is because he's important.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's only 2 people down there who are important to Feyre. Tamlin, who Amarantha is not going to kill because the man is, has to sit at her side, and also she wants him. Or Lucian. So, what better way to get her to feel motivated than placing someone who matters to her in front of her and being like, you got to read this, or this person's gonna die. Like, the poor illiterate girl.
I mean, I have to know, because that challenge is so pathetic in comparison to the worm. Did Amarantha somehow find out that she couldn't read? She must have, because that is a lame challenge.
Oh yeah, no, she must have. I mean, wait a minute. Press pause. Did you know what the answer to the riddle was?
It's love, right?
Did you know it though?
No, and people act like it's like so smart.
Okay.
Oh, it's so easy. It's love. I was like,
I read that riddle and I was like,
I don't know.
I'd be dead immediately.
You'd be dead.
I would have no chance. But that's why I'm like, I don't know if she found out that she couldn't read. I imagine she probably did find out that she couldn't read somehow, some way. But I'm over here
you know what's so funny is people on the internet make you feel real dumb sometimes, and they're all like, oh, it was so obvious. I go, it wasn't to me.
anyone who can
I'm terrible at riddles though.
Anybody who can honestly say that riddle was obvious. You're pretentious. You're pretentious.
You know what?
And I say that with the utmost respect.
I couldn't figure it out.
Absolutely not.
No, and then no. It's like when you walk.
No, I just put my drink. I went to go take a sip of my drink and I put it back down because I'm like, no.
It's like when you read. Well, I've never read it, but in The Hobbit.
Yes.
When Bilbo has to figure out the riddles with Gollum. Yeah, I only know the answers to those riddles because I watched the cartoon so many times as a kid.
I didn't know the answer to those riddles when I was watching that shit.
Yeah. Also, have you watched the cartoons of Lord of the Rings?
I just watched Lord of the Rings for the first time last year.
Get the fuck out of here. We're watching the cartoon version.
I literally just watched the movies for the first time in my life.
Frodo of the 9 fingers and the ring of doom. It's so good. If you know, fucking know the 70s cartoon.
If you're watching this, that was amazing.
But literally best cartoon of, they think they do The Hobbit and Return of the King. So they only do the 3rd book.
Oh my gosh, okay.
But it's so good. My brother and I used to sing the songs, the orcs sing, when there's a whip, there's a way. It's this really dark cartoon, but it was for kids, but it was the channel? 70s. Oh, God, it's on HBO Max, I think.
Okay. Well, because all the Lord of the Rings are on HBO Max.
Yeah, so I think they have I don't actually... Dude, the cartoons are the shit.
Anyways, I love cartoons.
Dude, I know, that's why I'm
you
have
cartoons.
To see them. The cartoons are incredible, but they have 70s singing. It's that kind of, that's why it's Frodo. It's it's this guy with a lute kind of vibe.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's good.
The old lover.
Yeah. That's my tangent about Lord of the Rings cartoons.
Okay, we gotta watch that.
Yeah, you gotta watch.
Anyway, so if we watch this, you have to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes. We've made this deal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch Avatar. But that's a way bigger undertaking, right? Like how long? Is it a
there's
movie?
It's
a TV show.
It's a TV show. I mean, there's like 22 episodes in each. in each season, but there's only 4 seasons because it's for each element.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, you have to master each element.
Okay.
And they're only like 25 minutes long.
That's not bad.
They're not like an hour. But anyways.
Okay, back to Akhtar. So we're under the mountain, and she has to figure out a riddle that we apparently
Oh my god.
both agree that we're bad at riddles. We're not riddle people.
Again, I think anyone who like was like, you didn't know that? I'm just like, I feel like you're either lying or you're an asshole.
Didn't know that.
I did not know it.
I was like, bitch is gonna die because I would die.
So funny because once I read this book and then I went on like the internet and like looked things up, I realized that we all had a very shared experience of what we thought the worm looked like. Have you ever seen that episode of SpongeBob, the Alaskan bullworm?
I'm not a SpongeBob girl.
Oh my.
You have to send it to me.
Oh my god. Because I literally was like, oh, it's a worm. It is an Alaskan bullworm. But no, and then like someone actually like pulled up what like worms actually look like. I'm like, oh shit, that's intense. That is not what I was thinking of at all. I will pull it up for you.
Okay, you have to pull it up for me.
But there's so many people that like on the internet, I was like, we've had the same shared experience. Okay, that's what you thought it looked like? That's what I thought it looked like.
So I don't know what movie or TV show this is from.
Imagine it's SpongeBob.
It's not, because it's like live action.
Oh, it's like, imagine.
I literally, I was like slightly in the wrong age bracket for SpongeBob when it came out. I was like 13. So I wasn't old enough to be high and enjoying it, and I wasn't young enough to be like young and enjoying it.
Yeah.
So then I just found him to be annoying.
Man, old SpongeBob, like when I was watching SpongeBob, that was peak.
Okay, see, I when I do watch like SpongeBob like clips, or I know enough about, I know the characters, I know all that.
I'm gonna pull it
up. But what I picture is, I don't know what movie like what live action thing.
If you're thinking of live action, we are so not thinking of
no,
the same
but
thing.
it's like skin colored worm.
Oh, wait, we might be thinking of the same
with
thing.
like an open in the at the center with teeth. With teeth, you know? Yeah, but more menacing than that. I'm more menacing, like teeth in the round, not just top and bottom.
This is. Yeah.
Okay, she's showing it to me. Yes and no. Mine had more teeth.
Yeah, yours. Okay.
Like sharp, angly teeth. And I don't know if it's like Game of Thrones or like what show I've watched. I watch a lot of fantasy. Maybe Witcher. Are you a Witcher
Oh, I
fan?
love The Witcher.
I don't know.
These are like what worms are. They're like kind of dragons with like no legs.
That is not at all what I pictured. I pictured it like no eyeballs.
Oh, okay.
Like a worm, like a inchworm.
Okay.
Like a worm you see on the ground after it rains.
Yeah. Okay.
But like with an opening with teeth.
Okay, so basically what I just showed
round
you.
Teeth, yes.
But in real
more
time with no eyes and angrier.
Yes.
Okay. Because this is a worm. Like a worm is actually just, it's kind of like a dragon, just like no legs. It's
Guys,
like
it's a dragon with no legs.
It's like all tail.
Mine was more menacing and disgusting.
It's tail with a head.
It's a snake. It's a snake with a dragon head.
It's a snake.
It's a snake with a dragon head.
Snake.
Mine was more. It's a snake. Mine was more slimy and disgusting.
Yeah.
I'll ask Greg after what I'm talking about. He might know what I'm talking about.
Maybe. In my mind, it was the Alaskan bullworm from SpongeBob. And then
Honestly,
I went on the internet and other people thought that. And I was like, oh, thank God it wasn't just me.
Mine was much angrier and maybe it was Princess Bride. I don't know. No, I know Princess Bride back and forward.
I don't think it was Princess Bride. Though I can't really speak. I've never seen them.
Okay, this is a new thing we're starting. It's called Make Gianna Watch the Princess Bride, because are you fucking kidding me?
We've been over this. Last time we were together, I told you that
I might have been drunk.
Oh, it wasn't the last time we were together then, because the last time we were together, she was drunk.
It was my birthday.
No, It was you pulled no. Oh my god! It was when you pulled out your CDs of your.
Oh,
DVDs.
I have a DVD collection of The Princess Bride.
You pulled out your full thing of
yeah.
DVDs, and I remember saying to you, I used to think I was like a movie buff, and then I hung out with like certain people, and I realized that I actually have really never seen any movies ever. I've seen the ones that like did not like culturally impact anyone at all. Whereas like The Princess Bride was in fact like a culture.
Yeah, we're changing that. We're changing that, and we will do a live reaction feed of her watching The Princess Bride.
I mean, I'm excited.
It's an iconic.
I know
movie.
Andre the Giant's in it.
He is, and he's incredible.
Yeah, that's all I know. And I know that he was quoted saying that was one of the best things he's ever worked on because no one there made him feel like a giant. They just made him feel like another cast member.
That's the sweetest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's the only thing I know about The Princess Bride.
Okay, that is not enough things to know about The Princess Bride. And we're going to move on to End of the Mountain. Because
we could go on about this for days.
I will rip you, and I'll just like, I will just quote the movie. I'll just go really weird.
Yeah, so End of the Mountain, she has those 3 tasks.
I mean, yeah, I guess we kind of already covered all of it, huh?
Kind of. I mean,
because
the third one, I remember even being like, whoa.
Yeah,
like,
with
she
the riddle.
was like, no, because like she solves the riddle, but she has to stab those 3 fairies. And the third fairy is quote unquote Tamlin.
Yep.
And it is actually Tamlin because she like for some reason
she puts everything together and she realizes, oh my god, he has a heart of stone.
Exactly.
Like how the ability to deduct that man has a heart of stone. I'm like, that ain't real.
Yeah.
No one's pulling back those memories. Like, I mean, it's cool. It's a cool scene.
Well,
maybe we wouldn't.
In terms
but
of
Pharaoh
me, I would have been done before I left the manor.
I like reading fantasy books because they're all braver than me.
Yeah, you're like, obviously, like, why did you not think about that? Like, who would think about that? And I'm over here like, I wouldn't think of that. I would have been dead.
No, I really I would have never been able to pull all of that information together in that moment and figure out that this man has a heart of stone and stab him in the chest on a guess. Well,
because Fair's smart.
She's smart
she
as shit.
She just doesn't know how to read. She's illiterate. No. But she's extremely smart. Yeah. She knows, she's, in a lot of ways, like, she's got, like, that predatory focus. Like, yeah. She was a hunter. She was caring. She was a painter, so she obviously paid attention to detail.
Yep.
Like, in that moment, I was just like, yeah, girl, you figure that shit out.
Yeah, she did. And it's cool. And then she stabs him in the heart.
Stabs him in the heart.
And it's all good. And then it's more than that.
Yeah. I think that was the moment also when, like, you realized that Reese was, you know, not everything that he seemed, because he, like, screamed her name when she was dying, and...
Yes, because then her neck gets snapped by
Amarantha,
yeah.
Snaps her neck. All the High Lords, like, give her a kernel of power to, like, bring her back to life.
And then that was all a fae.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah. So she's officially, like, fae. She's a fairy. Living in fairyland. Going home with Tamlin. Tam.
I appreciate that she's now not hopeless in a world where, like, she can't leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was... In the first book, I was like, if this kid, like, they have to find a way to make her a fae, because I was like, if this continues for multiple books, this is a very frustrating hiccup.
Yes. Because
you can't leave the house because everything knows you're a human and everything's gonna prey on you and like your fae, like there's no fae abilities you have, Like, it's kind of like, I haven't brought up Twilight in a minute, but it's kind of like in Twilight when Edward's like, you can't become a vampire, but like, she's weak every single, I'm like, Edward, just make her a damn vampire.
Also,
but, like,
she wants it.
So dude, she wanted it. Like, I mean, I get that makes her dead or whatever, but like in the same breath, like,
wouldn't you rather be a dead person with a dead person?
Yeah, exactly.
A dead person with a human person?
Like, I don't understand that perspective at all. I never understood Edward in that, but I digress. But I mean, like, I was like, oh god, like, I don't want this to drag out for like a couple books where she's like the weak human who can't help who she is in a world full of like fae.
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy that kind of got resolved pretty early off the bat.
Oh yeah, first book.
Because if it hadn't, I'd been like,
I think that Feyre was always destined to be something more, and I think that
yes,
from
I felt
the very
that from the
beginning, it was like she's so destined to be something more than the situation she was in and who she was, and so it all, I mean, went through horrible, terrible, and we find out in the second book, the repercussions of her, like the trauma.
Yes.
That comes with she had never gone through anything like that before. So
no, and the PTSD that she's gonna suffer in the future book is just
crazy.
Completely necessary though. Like it's a reasonable thing to experience after that.
I mean, I think it was the rest of the series is where I felt the most connected to Feyre.
But like as we talked about with like Book of Azriel and like then the second book in the series. Like, it's sometimes frustrating to start the second book of a series when the person's damaged. But it's necessary.
It's extremely necessary. It's important to their character development. It's important for us to understand that, like, they might be another species, but they're still human.
Yeah.
Like, she says very frequently, she doesn't know what to do with herself because she's a fairy. She's a fae with a human heart.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of that, like as things move forward.
She's not as cold as everyone else.
No.
Yeah.
Which I think for a while she doesn't see as her strength, but it actually is.
It becomes her strength as the series goes.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember finishing this book and being like, what's next?
Literally
I'm excited. Tell me what's next. Tell me who's next. Tell me where we're going. Tell me what we're doing. Like, I put this book down and I was like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Ready for the next one.
And if you, like, what I do appreciate about the series, as you said at the beginning of the podcast, is that it's just, you have books lined up already. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for a release date.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a great series.
Yeah.
To jump into.
So there's 5 books. I believe she's contracted for 2 more and 1 more novella.
So we have Court of Thorns and Roses,
mm-hmm.
A Court of Mist and Fury,
mm-hmm.
A Court of Wings
and
Ruin, A Court of Starlight,
Frost and
Starlight,
which is a novella,
and then a Court of Silver Flames.
And A Court of Silver Flames.
There you
go. She's contracted she's currently working on the 6th ACOTAR book, and then I think it's another novella, and then her final.
So it'll be 8 total at the end.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So worth it, guys.
Guys,
so worth it.
Like, we held back so hard.
Oh my god, wait till next week.
This is probably, the next one is our favorite.
Oh my gosh.
This is something we very much agree on.
Yeah.
Like 2, 3, and 5 are like top quality books, but 2 is incredible.
And the second book in the series, actually, I'll pick up that book like once a week. Just to like read it. Sometimes it just brings me joy. But we'll get into that next time.
All right. Well,
bye. Sick. Sick, bro.